So my name is Lukas Pawera. I'm from Czech University of Life Sciences, PhD candidate. And this idea of developing new quantitative indices for assessing potential of edible species for dietary diversity came out from a broader project in West Sumatra, which is a collaboration of my university with IPB Bogor, also Andalus University and Biodiversity International, and it has been supported by Alphabet Mobility and NHF Foundation. So before I start, I want to say that I want to take you also a little bit more into the food dimension, food diversity perspective. So it will be a little bit follow-up of presentation of Frances, was really nice contribution. So I will a little bit follow up on that. And why to develop these kind of indexes is because recently there has been a big effort to assess the dietary diversity, human diets, also dietary species richness and other tools. But what we think is that there is a little gap in quantifying importance of individual species in this dietary diversity. So therefore, we try to come up with new indexes which will assess the potential importance and contribution of individual species to dietary diversity. So what are the possible names of those proposed indices? Firstly is a species food reports. After we have species food reports, we can calculate 3 quantitative indexes. First one is species contribution to dietary diversity. Second is species potential for dietary diversity, PDD. And third one is species underutilization for dietary diversity, UDD index. Just briefly, the idea and inspiration to develop those things. What we think is that globally there are species, either plants or crops, which are sources of multiple food groups. For example, cassava has a tuber, starchy staples. It has also edible leaves. So it has 2 food groups for dietary diversity. What we think is that those species might have higher potential for dietary diversity. So our indexes, they take into account edible plant parts. And basically we got inspired by quantitative ethnobotany, such as index use value, which has been developed in 1993 and has a very simple index and has been widely cited by ethnobotanists. So what we try to do actually is to kind of marry ethnobotany with dietary diversity. So what is a species food report? A food report is an event when a respondent consumes the species in a food group. It can be 1 food group or 2 food groups. So for example, if 2 respondents consume apple, it will be 2 food reports. Yeah? Apple, 2 respondents, 2 food reports. We need to calculate 3 different types of food reports per species and from total sample of respondents. The first one is maximum number of food reports. There's the theoretical maximum number of food reports for the species. It means if all respondents would consume all edible parts of that species. The second one is actual number of food reports, and this is the actual number from the 24-hour food recalls. And the third one is untapped food reports, and that's actually a difference between the maximum number of food reports and actual number of food reports. And with those food reports, we can actually calculate all those 3 follow-up indexes. The first one is species contribution to dietary diversity, CDD, and it assesses the actual contribution to dietary diversity. It's counted as a CDD is equal to actual number of food reports divided by total number of respondents. The second one, potential for dietary diversity, PDD. So it's assessing, actually it's more theoretical. It's showing the maximum potential of the species. It's counted like maximum number of food reports divided by total number of respondents. And the last one, it tends to estimate underutilization level of the species. It's counted like untapped number of food reports divided by total number of respondents. So these are 3 indexes, and how we tested, we collected data in West Sumatra with 100 Minangkabau and 100 Mandailing women of reproductive age from cocoa farming households. It's a very rural area with poor nutritional outcomes, low economical status. We collected a lot of data, socio-economical data, household expenditures, agrobiodiversity, food insecurity, and others. We also mapped the species, identified them to species level, but most importantly, we did the quantitative 24-hour food recalls. But for these kind of indexes, we analyze them in qualitative way. Yeah? So qualitative food recalls are enough. Yeah? That's quite a big advantage. And then we follow the food categorization of dietary diversity standard 10 food groups. And then we calculate species food reports and new indexes. So the main result, what are the most potential species for dietary diversity? I hope that you all like papaya, which you can taste every morning here, thanks to organizers. So there's actually the one that we eat here is a vitamin A rich food group. It's a ripe papaya. But as you can see, papaya has also other edible plant parts, such as leafy vegetable. Papaya leaves are consumed in West Sumatra, or unripe fruit is consumed as another vegetable. So papaya offers 3 different food groups, and actually that's why it's reaching the high PDD index, 3, highest in my case study. What are the other potential species? As in agroforestry, you have concept multi-purpose tree species, so I think we could have also multi-food group species, because all these plants in my case study, they have more food groups. They are sources of more food groups, such as not only papaya, but jackfruit, pumpkin, chicken, cassava, banana, chayote, and mung bean. So these are really highly potential, we think. The next main result is the species that have highest contribution to dietary diversity, the actual one. The first one in the yellow color, one reaching, is actually rice. It sounds a bit strange, but it's because 200 respondents consumed rice. So, you know, it contributed to dietary diversity in a way. The second one, 0.46 is soybean, which is quite important in Indonesia, tempeh, tofu, then cassava, both leafy vegetable and staple combined, and also chicken, meat, and eggs combined together, and also wheat is becoming important. And the third index, species underutilization level, so it's ordered based on the most underutilized species. The top one is papaya, followed by mung bean, pumpkin, chayote, and jackfruit. So basically all those multi-food group species, they have high potential, but they are still highly underutilized as well on the other side. Different way of showing results, we can also use these food reports to show consumption of particular food groups. So for example, red color Minangkabau and blue color Mandailing community, you can see staples. Minangkabau have higher number of food reports. I think it says a bit more than just proportion of food group consumers, because in that case, staples will be 100% and 100%, same for both ethnic groups. So this is going a little bit maybe deeper in that aspect. So let me just summarize the finding. We analyzed those food items consumed in 24-hour food recalls, assessed their potential for dietary diversity and their level of underutilization. And actually what we thought is true, that multi-food group species such as papaya or jackfruit, they have high potential, but they are still largely underutilized. This is the last table, I promise, just comparing papaya and rice, the highest contrast, these plants. So papaya, still highly underutilized, while rice, already fully utilized. There is no scope for dietary diversification with rice. And last slide is discussion. So I will mention a few advantages. No, these are disadvantages. So basically, you need to calculate a little bit more data analysis, and you need to aggregate the data at species level. It might be a little bit more needed some botanical attention, but not really much. You can still work with the local names. And species or edible plant parts which were not captured in 24-hour food recalls will be missed in the analysis. But that's the weakness of 24-hour food recalls, actually. But in reality, in village, there is much higher diversity. Really, we are missing quite a lot in that way. And advantages, I think maybe the most important, that species with high potential, or those multi-food group species, they can be targeted by nutrition-sensitive agriculture. In my case, these indexes were helpful in quantifying the role of particular species for dietary diversity and in a feasible way. So perhaps the indexes could be also used for monitoring changes in species consumption. What we also think that the wider adoption of these indexes could be possible because data collection is feasible. It's the same data collection for dietary diversity. So all of us who did survey on dietary diversity, we already have this data. Yeah, so it's just a little bit more data analysis. And also new quantitative metrics, they offer new options for statistic analysis, assessing relations, and all those things. Yeah, so that's all from my side. Thank you for your attention, and any feedback would be appreciated on those ideas and those indexes. Thank you.